the deportations are in full effect. Now, some might agree, some might disagree, and it's fine. It's the middle ground. You can have your opinion. We respect it all, and we listen to them all, right? But it's getting a little tricky because now people are afraid to go to work. People are afraid to go to church. People are afraid to send their kids to school. Um, because they're afraid of being deported. And some might say, "Yeah, listen, you came here illegal. You're a full adult with making decisions, and you came into a country with no permission, and whatever you get is what you get, right?" And some might say, uh, we escape poverty. We're trying to escape poverty, escape violence, escape persecution from our own homeland. That's why we came to the United States to uh, get a better life. So, you know, we understand both sides of the argument, and both sides of the argument um, is being heard. But um, but the deportation thing here, it's being a mess. People are being pulled out of work. People are being pulled out of cars and traffic stops. People are being pulled out of school, from what they're being said, from what I'm hearing and what's being said. So we have a quick update on this deportation fiasco. You guys take a look.
Hilliard, NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins me on set. And NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez is in Newark, New Jersey, where multiple ICE raids have taken place. Gabe, let me start with you because you have some new information about these raids. What can you tell us?
Hi there, Kristen. Well, yes, New York's mayor, I just wrapped up an interview with him, and he does say that in addition to the roundup you just mentioned in here in Newark, the New York's mayor, excuse me, says there were two additional operations today. We're still waiting to get more details on that. But Kristen, this investigation is ongoing, and local officials, as you just pointed out, they say that they are appalled. Now, the restaurant behind me employs about 80 to 90 people each day, according to city officials. They say that three undocumented immigrants, who I say are undocumented immigrants, were arrested yesterday. Still a lot of questions about exactly what happened here, but ICE is responding and saying that, in the course of these operations, they sometimes do run into citizens and do request documentation. And whether what you call it is actually a big part of this, Kristen. ICE does not call this a raid or a roundup. They refer to it as a targeted workplace operation.
Now, this is one of the problems I I um I thought about, right? This is one of the problems I felt like might happen. Now, what happens to people that are U.S. citizen, don't speak great English, but don't have their paper on them, right? Because again, we live in the United States. We're not required to walk around with your birth certificate or a green card or passport, right? We're not friends, In France, you have to walk around with all your documents and be ready at any time to be questioned by the authorities, right? And this is one of the problems. I feel like it's gonna make a lot of news because a lot of U.S. citizens or green card holders, people that are in the United States legally, are gonna be pulled over, probably taken into questioning because they're not able to speak English properly, or their English is not 100%. I'm an immigrant. Most of my families are immigrants, so they migrated from somewhere else to come here. Um, and I understand the process of learning English and not speaking it for a while. I have grandma. I've been to church. I know people that's been here for 10, 15, 20 years, and their English is not as great because they came here a little older, and English, learning English is not the priority uh at that point. And not that it's not important, but it's just that I gotta get to work. I got life. I got a life to build. I got kids to feed, and you know I gotta get my life together in this country. So most of the time, to work and to navigate and live a life, English, because of the community everyone lives in, or church, and in the community of people at work that speak their language, they don't speak English, or learning English is not a priority, I would say. Not that that's right. I don't feel like that's right. I feel like if you come into a country, it's best to kind of learn the culture, learn the language as best as you can. And I'm sure some of these people are doing the best they can. But, learning a new language, as some of you might know, is it's not always easy when you have life problems, work, and family to take care of. You're not going to school right away to learn English, or you're not having enough interaction with speaking English people because you work in your community, you go to church, they speak your language, you go to work, they speak your language. Um, After all, the United States is a melting pot, right? So we have all type of people here from all over the world. So, and most of the time when people come to the United States, they go to an area, or uh they go somewhere where they have family, friends. Usually it's a community, and that in such community, you're gonna have uh other people that own businesses and that have careers, and they speak the same language as you from your native language. So so you could navigate and operate without 100% speaking English. And that's the problem I feel like we're going to run into. You're going to run into some people that can't speak English properly to defend themselves, and now they're being arrested because ICE is assuming they're just illegal. If you're not speaking English, you're not giving us the right answers right away. And I feel like that's a problem we're going to run into a whole lot.
City officials here, though, say that this was a raid and that these agents walked in here.
Excuse the commercial, as always, guys. It's YouTube. We gotta deal with it. Um yeah, we're back.
And in their words, terrified the community, Kristen.
Well, Gabe, you talk about city officials, and we heard some of the outrage from city officials there in the sound at the top of this segment. I'm wondering, are there any steps that they are taking to try to prevent these types of workplace incidents from happening, whether you want to call them that, whether you want to call them raids? Is there any action being taken?
Well, local officials say they're trying to inform the public about this, but you'll remember, Kristen, that's a very touchy subject, especially when Tom Homan, President Trump's border czar, had said that he would prosecute local or state officials that tried to impede ICE in any way. I asked the mayor whether he planned to use city resources to do that. He didn't say he would. Of course, that would be that would, be a showdown exactly with the Trump administration, and that's something that Newark's mayor didn't say he wanted to do. But what he's saying is that he wants to protect this community. It remains unclear how this will play out in city.
Yeah, and that's another thing. A lot of these politicians are not willing to stand up to Trump. If you feel like Trump is doing something, it's disrupting your area, your town where you are the mayor. Uh, in this case, Newark, New Jersey. Um, if you feel like this is disturbing your citizens, that's the citizens of the town that you're ahead of, you're leading, communicate with the gentleman. Maybe uh oppose it a little bit, right? But a lot of these politicians, and that's Democrat and Republicans alike, are not willing to do that. So you're gonna get a lot of uh a lot of activities that they probably don't agree with. It's probably making their city unhappy, or probably making their citizens not at ease. But are they gonna say anything? Probably not. Now, some more, right? We heard recently in one of our shows we previously recorded that, you know, some states are suing Donald Trump. Some mayors are not happy, and they're making it heard, right? So, but again, you have a lot of people that wanna uh be on Trump's good side, so they're not saying much. Um, and it's unfortunate because you don't serve Trump, you serve the community, right? Although Trump is our president, we respect the office, we respect uh, you know, the decisions he's making, but we can also disagree, right? I think so.
Cities across the country, as you suggested, now ICE is ramping up this enforcement, and the numbers are up, at least in the last few days, when compared to just several months ago, Kristen.
Well, and following up on that point, how does this tactic that we're seeing going into workplaces, for example, compare to what we've seen in previous administrations?
And that's so interesting. So you just showed that video just a little bit ago of these migrants getting onto military aircraft. That is something that we really had not seen before. Now, we should point out the Biden administration did do a lot of deportations. They actually ramped them up the further they got into their administration, but they were taken away in chartered flights. Now the military is taking an active role in this, and as you mentioned, Guatemalan authorities say they received 2 planes just this morning. So in terms of the numbers, we just put those on the screen. Look, the Trump administration wants the public to think that these enforcement operations just began after he took office. That's not correct, because the Biden administration did. We were just in a couple of weeks ago, we were in Boston where the ICE took us along and showed us some of these targeted enforcement operations. What's different this time is that it appears that they are arresting more people per day. They're really highlighting the numbers day by day, and also the workplace part of this, that they're going into workplaces, not just homes, and that has a lot of officials in cities like this concerned, Kristen.
Gabe Gutierrez, thanks for bringing that new reporting to us. We really appreciate it. Let me turn to Julia now, who's here with me on set. Julia, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks
really
for having me.
Appreciate it. So basically, we are seeing an expansion of these deportation efforts, and you actually have new reporting as well about the Trump administration moving to remove people who were here legally under the Biden administration. Tell us about that.
That's right. This is something we actually heard that they were working on during the transition. There were a lot of plans they drew up. Some of them they were able to execute right when they came in. Some are going to take a little more funding, a little more time. This is the end of a parole program. That's something the Biden administration granted in a number of cases. People from Ukraine, people from Afghanistan. For the most people, though, they were people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. The Biden administration allowed them to apply legally from their home countries if they had a U.S.-based sponsor. And when they did that, those nationalities arriving at the southern border, that dropped by 98%. So they saw that as a success. Trump and others said, look, that is the Biden administration flying in undocumented immigrants in the dead of night and allowing them to stay, seeing that very differently. So this has been a population he's wanted to target. And in day one, he undid parole. They said they would do parole on a case-by-case basis, which takes away the legal right for those people to live and work here. And now we understand that ICE is actually telling its agents that they could put these people on the fast track for deportation. It's called expedited removal. It means you don't get a chance to go before a judge and plead your case for asylum. And for a lot of these people, they didn't go on the path for asylum because they thought they had 2 years to do it. They thought they came the legal way, they applied, the United States let them in, but now the rug is being pulled out, and ICE is actually going to start targeting some of these people because now they see it as low-hanging fruit. And don't forget, they gave all their information to the U.S. government.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big deal, guys. I don't know if you guys are aware of the program that Biden had put in place uh to help migrants come in legally. All you'd have to do is if you have a family member or a friend, a close relative that lives in the United States, they were able to file paperwork for you and to get you out of, your country if you were being persecuted, if it's unsafe. Um and yeah, and I agree with that point, right? When Biden did that, it did stop a lot of the illegals going through South America, coming through Mexico into the United States. It did stop that because they didn't need to do that anymore. All they had to do is apply. If, for example, in Haiti, it's chaos in Haiti right now. The gangs have taken over, and it's very unsafe. Uh, there's no food, medicine for most people. And I didn't even want to say a lot of people, right? Because that's an understatement. There is no medicine, very little food, no safety for most people, right? So in that case, it did help a lot of people that had family here and some type of support, and those family members could apply and they'll give them asylum here for 2 years until they figure out what's going on, or maybe apply for an extension or uh something along that line, right? Now these people are not illegal. These people are legally here because they actually went through the process, applied, sent all their information, in some cases uh probably paid for some of for that process, right? And then coming here, uh starting to work, bring their family. Some have kids uh that are in school, right? And that's where it gets tricky because those people are not illegal. Nonetheless, Trump is not looking at it that way. Trump is looking at it as, you're not here as a US citizen. You are not here with the process of being a green card holder, which is what a permanent resident mean. So you're a temporary resident, which means you gotta go. And that's making a lot of people unhappy. And it's not just Mexican, Haitians, etc., as you guys heard. It's also people from Ukraine, people from Europe that are here. And this is some of the things that a lot of people in New York and a lot of the major cities, they're very unhappy about, because these people were coming in by the boatload from Europe and other places, and they were being given homes, they were being given money. In some cases, these people are being given $3,000-$4,000 in rent every month to pay and live in a nice home or a nice place, while Americans are barely getting by. And who do you think is footing that bill? Right? Us. And these are some of the arguments that are being had, and with this whole immigration thing. Now, do I think these people should be sent back? No, they're here. They filed the paperwork. They're not here undocumented. They actually do have documents, and they're here legally, but they're not permanent residents. So these people are in trouble from from what we're being told, and what the sentiment Trump is expressing. So do we agree with what's going on? Are we okay with people being pulled out of work? They're not doing anything illegal, by the way. They're just working. Are we okay with these type of behaviors?
Wow, that is a very stark difference from what we saw with the previous administration. Let's talk about the pace, because obviously President Trump wants to show he's hitting the ground running, that he's really moving forward with these plans for mass deportation. Do you think it's realistic to continue to keep up with this pace that we're seeing this week in these recent days, or are you anticipating it's going to peter out in the next few weeks?
I actually imagine we're going to see more in the next week, just based on what I'm hearing, kind of the way that they've put the chess pieces on the board, so to speak. Right now, he's using the military. He's just engaged other parts of DOJ. But the question is, what will this look like in March or April? Is there, as I understand it, most of these people who are being arrested now, those who had criminal records, they were on ISIS list to be arrested. As Gabe pointed out, he and I have both been out to see them do those operations before, but as I understand, they took what they would have done over a month or two and have squeezed it into a week. And so we're going to see more of those next week, but eventually these cities are going to start to get to the end of their list of these high value targets, people who they think are threats to public safety, and then ICE will run out of space to keep them before they can deport them. Even if they have military planes, a lot of these people are from countries that won't take them back. So then it will come down to people like Marco Rubio, who can negotiate, use diplomatic pressure to try to get these countries to take people back. Otherwise, you have millions of people in detention with nowhere to go.
And that's another issue, right? So as we watch this, we're recognizing numerous issues, right? One that's being exposed at this moment is, where are we gonna put all these people when you take a whole lot of people out of work, out of their home, wherever you're getting them from? Where are you putting them? Because a plane, right, a standard plane probably have what, I would say at the most a couple hundred seats, maybe, for a big plane, right? And if you arresting thousands of people, putting them in detention, awaiting sending them home, right? How are you gonna do that? And now she made a point here that I'm fine with, right? If they're going after people that are breaking the law, people that are hurting people, people that are robbing and stealing, and I'm sure I've stated this in previous episodes, right? If they're doing that, we can't disagree with that, because that's keeping us safe, that's keeping us protected, that's stopping other illegal or crimes from happening to American citizens. That's fine. But when you go as far as pulling kids out of school, going to people's jobs and pulling them out just to send them back home, I feel like that's a bit too much, right? We could all agree with that. If someone is here, have some type of documents, they're working, helping out, taking care of their kids, helping their folks back at home with, sending money back home. If that's their only goal and that's what they're doing, I feel like let these people operate, let them live, and maybe help them out with this Biden program, help them obtain a legal green card, I would say, right? Let them obtain a green card and let them live, let them work. But this is not what's going on, right? It seems like they're going after the criminals first, which is fine, but also there are people that are innocent, working hard, filed the paperwork, did everything the right way to come here, and these people are stressed and they're in danger of being snatched from work and sending back home. I don't think that's good. And can this sustain, and she brought up, will they be able to sustain that same level of urgency for a long time? We'll see, because it is a lot. When you bring military, you probably moving a lot of people around. People are gonna probably, people are probably gonna get hurt because how you have a system to feed all these people, keep them safe. People might get sick. People might need medication. So there's a lot of problem that might arise from this, as we know from before. Excuse me, when they were catching people from the border, putting them in cages. If you guys remember, that was a big deal. That was a big deal not too long ago when people were being taken and put in cages and they're hot. People were kids were just not in good conditions, right? So we hope this doesn't repeat itself, and we hope that they have a better plan to keep these people safe as they return them back to their country. Okay. And another thing, what if their home country is not letting them back in? Okay. Because some of this country probably know these people as criminals and they won't let them back in. So that's another issue they're probably going to have to deal with. But I'm pretty sure, if you are a criminal, you're doing illegal things, they're just going to send you back wherever, or to your home country. If they're not accepting you, that's their business. We're going to send you, drop you off at their border or at their airport somehow. But anywho, we hope they do have a better process and this goes smoothly and not too many people get hurt.
Wow. Okay. Well, they've been saying all along it's incredibly complex and complicated and expensive. So the action's also going to move to Congress. Julia Ainsley, you've been out front on all of this. So thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Vaughn, let me turn to you. And of course, separate from this immigration crackdown today, we've heard a lot from President Trump, including traveling to North Carolina, floating the idea of eliminating FEMA. What can you tell us about this, and what's the reaction been so far?
And we'll get to Trump trying to get rid of FEMA, but I just wanted to get the immigration part out of the way. But Trump is also talking a whole lot of smack about FEMA, which is, he has some good points, but who knows? But we'll get you more updated